I'm Erwin, Regional Livestock Specialist with University of Missouri Extension, and this is your Extension update for the week of May the 7th. And the title of this video is The Secret to Growing Grass, and I know that's pretty much on everybody's minds right now because we haven't done a very good job of it thus far. Mother Nature hasn't cooperated, and we're still behind the 8 ball in the amount of grass that we should have for this time of year. And so I'm not going to talk today about just dumping more fertilizer on or lime or what kind of grass species you have or what kind of a stand you really have, although all that is very important. But the real secret to growing grass is giving it a good amount of rest. And I'm talking about the amount of days of rest. And you need to match your animals with the amount of acreage they got so that sufficient rest is really achieved. So I'm going to talk about an alternative to buying costly yearly inputs, which would be your fertilizer and lime or grass seed. And I would say that you ought to be looking at spending money on a little fencing. And I'm not talking about your father's or grandfather's version of electric fencing. And one thing I do know is that when there's money to be made, you will see investments in new technology, and you've certainly seen that with electric fencing over the last several years. And so there's a lot of good ways at which you can do, but what I'm talking about is use high tensile wire, and this is just a little strand of it. But again, I'm not talking about using barbed wire and T-post. I'm talking about using some high tensile wire and getting it strung out there so that you can control the movement of your animals and you can control how much rest your grass gets. And this comes in a couple of different versions. You can get it in about 170,000 psi or 200,000. I've even seen up into the 220s. The higher the number, the harder it is to work with, but the lower the number, the easier the braking strength is too. So you kind of want to take that into consideration. Along with that, you're going to need posts. And this is just an old standard fiberglass post. It's a non-conductive electric post. I don't recommend using T-posts in your electric fence for the fact that it will short out at some point and cause you a lot of headache. And so find you some kind of a good non-conductive electric fence post. And like I said, this is just fiberglass. The one downfall with fiberglass is over time it will fray, and you go to touching it without leather gloves on, and you're going to get all that in your hands, and it's going to burn for several days. One of the things that I've bought here recently, they're called Pasture Pro Post, and it's a wood composite. There's filler material in there. It's also a non-conductive post, but it doesn't leave your hands all rough when you go to handling it, and it's supposed to last longer and look better than your old fiberglass post. And so when you're doing a farm management plan, or you're looking at trying to plan a farm to protect yourself from things like drought, you can dump as much fertilizer as you want to on a field, but if it doesn't rain, it doesn't matter. You're wasting your money. Look at things like investing in some good fencing and something that'll pay you back in return down the road. And so this is where I'll give you a short plug, and that you can learn more about grazing management at our managed intensive grazing schools. And the one we have coming up here in northeast Missouri is September the 20th and the 21st, and that'll be up in Putnam County around the Unionville area. And so check that out. Come by the office or give us a call, and we'll sure to get you on the mailing list for a flyer. And so the other thing I had alluded to earlier is drought management. And the only thing you have to do is look at auction receipts to see what's on people's minds. And there's been a whole gob of culling and selling of cows recently. And anybody that owns or works at an auction barn, you talk to them about the amount of pound cows that they've unloaded and sold. It's been extraordinary. And so that tells me the first thing that's on people's minds is we're preparing for a dry year. And the best thing you can do to prepare for a dry year is just start culling the non-productive cows of the herd. It's cheaper than getting into the heart of your herd and your young cows that you have to later. Get them out of there and get them gone. Look for reasons to get them gone. If they're a little squirrely or they're a little mad, don't put up with it. Put them on the trailer. If they've got bad feet, they can't get around, load them up and get them gone. Cull cow prices are still kind of hanging in there, and I'd get them gone if you think this is going to be a dry year, and it may very well be. And I hope we get to talking about it and it just goes to raining, and we don't have to worry about it the rest of the year. That's your extension update for this week from my office here in Kirksville, Missouri. I'll talk to you next week.